Hey y'all, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you how I made this absolutely beautiful death head moth wall hanging using molds and resin from one of my absolute favorite companies, Resin. Stay tuned and I will show you how to make it. Alright, so first off, let's take a look at this mold that I'm going to use. It is absolutely beautiful. Y'all know I absolutely love death head moths. And if you'll look here in this mold, it comes with this paper and it shows you how to put them together. You can use them individually, of course, or string them together to make a beautiful wall hanging. It comes with this little package of hardware that you need, these eye hooks, hook eyes, and these jump rings here. You also want to keep the bags that it comes in, so that protects your mold. But I'm going to, before I even start pouring any resin, I'm going to lay this. This is just a cutting board that is covered in plastic. That way, if I need to move this mold, I can pick that up and not have to pick it up this way and, you know, spill all my resin. So we're going to color it in first with some of this Chameleon powder. And like I said, it's sort of like a color shifting powder. You see how one angle looks blue and then you turn it, it looks purple. And there are several different colors. I'm going to be using all of these in future videos. But anyway, let me pick out a color here and we'll start using it. All right, I know the lighting looks a little bit off. I did move like all of my little Aero garden hydroponic systems into the craft room instead of the kitchen. Anyway, this is the brush that it comes with, and this color is Galaxy. Isn't that beautiful? So you just take your brush, and these molds are fairly sticky. You're just going to take your brush like so, and then just brush in your powder wherever you want it. So I'm going to cover the whole inside of this mold with this powder, and it's going to take me a few minutes, of course, to paint it all on. You don't really need a thick coat. You can see about how thin this coat is that I'm putting on here. Like I said, it takes a minute. Just take your time and do this. Don't just glop it all in there. Just make sure that you have it brushed on like this. So I'm going to cover the whole inside and I'm going to come up the sides with it. Okay, so that is done. Let's pick that up and take a look. Isn't that beautiful? And like I said, I know the lighting is a little bit different. Next time I film, I'll turn them off. But it is what it is for this video. Anyway, this is the Let's Resin epoxy resin. This is VOC free, no odor, because you know me, I can't stand wearing a mask. Do not come for me in the comments about wearing a mask. Those comments will be deleted. You wear a mask if you want to. I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm trying to find something to open this. All right, so I got them open. This is my plastic measuring cup. Y'all seen me use this in previous videos. Let's move this out of the way. I know I don't have a lot of space on this table. But anyway, their resin is a 1-to-1 ratio mix, which is what I like. It takes all the guesswork out of it. So let's say if you're going to use 2 ounces total of your resin, you would use 1 ounce of part A and 1 ounce of part B. So the way that I usually determine how much resin to use in a mold is I fill that mold up with water and then pour it into a measuring cup, but I didn't do that this time. So I'm just going to eyeball it. And if I mix up too much resin, then guess what? I'll just use it in a different mold. Okay, I had to turn that one off. It was getting on my nerves. All right, so let's see. Where are we? I'm going to set this down flat so I can see it. So I'm going to pour in part A. I'm going to pour it up to the 100 milliliter line. And I know that's going to be probably too much, but it'll be all right. I'll use the excess for something else. I also keep a mold sitting over here on a shelf where when I'm mixing up resin and I have excess, I just pour it into that mold, and then when it gets full, I just pop it out. But anyway, I am using a wooden craft stick here, and you're just going to slowly stir it because I can't find my silicone mixer that I usually use with this. Probably over here in a drawer. But you want to mix this thoroughly together. Go slow. My mixer here, my stick, is touching the bottom of the container so that I can make sure it is all getting mixed up together. You want to mix slowly so that you don't introduce a whole lot of bubbles. Okay? And if you pour your resin and you find that you have bubbles that rise up to the top, you can use a heat gun and go over it. I don't recommend using a lighter. You will destroy your molds that way. I've seen many people melt their mold because they use a lighter. There we go. Or you can have a little spray bottle, fill it with rubbing alcohol and spray it. That works as well. All right, so I'm just going to keep stirring this for a good 2.5 minutes to make sure everything is incorporated, and I'll be back. And I see that I thought I was recording and I wasn't. But anyway, I added a few drops of my black pigment into this, and I'm going to stir it for about a good minute more, just to make sure I get all of that coloring incorporated. Coloring also came from Let's Resin, which I need to reorder because I just ran out. I just used like my last few drops. I had a good 6 drops in that bottle left. But if you will look in the description box and I'll pin a comment, I'll have links to where you can get all of this stuff. Okie dokie, so let's bring this over. I need to put the lids on my bottles here. And then I'm just going to pour it in and fill up my mold. Like I said, if I have any left over, I'll just pour it. Ooh, don't do that. I'll just pour it into one of these other ones. Just make sure that you get it all up against the edges. Now, this type of resin is self-leveling, so it will spread out. But as I'm pouring it, I like to make sure that I'm getting as close to the edges as possible, just to make sure that it does spread. All right. So now we're going to let this sit at least a day before you try to take it out of the mold. And it needs to set at least 2 days to be fully cured. Sometimes 3 days, sometimes 4 days. It all depends on how humid it is in your home. It's not very humid in here, so it should be good in a day or so for me to take it out, and then I'll let it cure another day. But anyway, once it has set up enough to take out of the mold, we'll come back and take a look. Okay, it has not even been 24 hours, but I touched it on the back and it wasn't really tacky to me, but yet it was still pliable. And this is important. I went ahead and took it out. As you can see, I want to pick it up like this and you can see how it's flexible, right? And look at that beautiful sheen. I can't wait till this is fully hardened so I can go in and we can color in these details. I can't wait for that. But anyway, I'm going to be hanging this up with a piece of chain. And I wanted to show you how to go ahead and get your little hook eyes here into your project without using a Dremel tool or anything like that, just in case you don't have one. So what I did is I picked a spot, and you're going to want to do the identical spot over here, which is easy with this because you can see the lines in the wings here. I don't want my chain to be crooked, but I have these jewelry making pliers here. You see how they are wide and flat? These came from Joann's, but you can get them on Amazon. Look in the description box. This is going to really allow you to grasp this like that. You see that? Because you really want to grab onto this. Now let's choose where we're going to put this. And I'm trying to look at the lines on the wings here. So it needs to go right about here. And this is difficult to show because it's flexible. Let's see. I want to get this right. So I want to say right about there. And because this is so flexible, with just a little bit of pressure, you can actually press this into the resin. And this is the way that I put in mine. Hold on, let me get it here. Just putting a little bit of pressure, and we'll just start screwing it in like that. And this is the way I do all of my things that I'm going to hang. I do have a Dremel tool. But sometimes if you aren't careful, you can like drill through the back, or, you know, you can easily mess up. So I like doing it this way. See if I can get a hold of it here. Okay. And that's pretty in there. So now it's flexible. Like I said, it's just going to flatten itself back out. You can see it doing that. And I believe I'm just going to barely press, and that has flattened back out. But anyway, now we're going to let this sit here for the remainder of the time that it takes for it to harden up. When it does that, I'll be back and we will put some chains up here and we can hang it. All right, so this is still not fully cured, but you know what? Do you ever get excited about a project and like you just can't wait to work on it? I've wanted this mold for such a long time because I've seen some absolutely beautiful things made with it. And I'm just I'm just ecstatic, you know, that Let's Resin sent this to me. So I'm just so excited to work on it. Let's just get a few of these little jump rings out. Now, this is some silver chain that I got at Joann's. And let's see, let's get our other doohickey here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open these, and I've showed you guys how I open them before. You don't grab it and pull. You grab it and twist like so. So I'm going to run this through the end of my chain here. And then we're going to run it around. Like I said, this is not cured yet, so it's still going to be a little squishy. We're going to run it around like so, and then twist it again to close it. And then I'll just lay this back down, and you see it just flattens right back out. Now, talking with some friends of mine, they suggested some drops on the bottom, and I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. So I did put 5 more eye hooks on this thing. Hook eyes. D Noble, if you're listening, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I did one in the very center, and then I tried to evenly space them apart because this is going to be a wall hanging. I'm just so excited for the beads I got. I just wanted to hurry up and get those on here before I mess with the paint. And I know I need to wait, but I'm excited. So I'm going to take my chain and decide about how long I want it. And that looks good right there. Let's see if these will twist apart. Some of them twist apart. Some of them you have to actually cut. And I think this is going to be the kind that you can twist apart. Let's see. I think so. So anyway, let's get this chain apart. There we are. And then we'll get another jump ring here. And then we're going to fasten it just like we did here. We're going to fasten it to the other side. Okay, so the chain is on, and look at this beautiful pendant, and it's got this beautiful iridescent finish, which I think is going to go with our holographic powder up here very well, or our color shift powder, I rather should say. And what I'm going to do is just attach that to the bottom here. I think I want to put it like that. I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm just going to fasten it directly there, because these hooks here are going to have a little bit of a chain before I put anything else, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and fasten on there. And projects like this, you know, it's really up to you how you want it to look. There's no set way to do this. The only set thing to do is, you know, how to pour your resin, but everything else is up to you. Okay. Now let's find, I just had it, the loop at the end, the loopy loop. Aha! Right there. Okay. See how I just looped that around? And then we're going to, once again, just loop that through this hook and then twist it to close it. I feel like I'm about to drop this thing. Okay. So now we have that on there. Now let me get some beads and some other supplies, and I'll be back. Okay, so I have some head pins here, and I have some fairly long ones. Head pins because they have like this little flat part on the bottom here, and that's going to prevent your beads from sliding off. I also have these small silver beads and these beautiful purple beads. They also came from Joann's. So let's get some more chain here, and I want to hang these from these little hooks here. So let's see, what do I want to do? Let's get my scissors, and let's just open these up because I think I have an idea of what I want to do. So let's get one of these that's a little bit straighter. Usually I just stick on my finger like so. And I'm going to put this small bead here. And then we're going to cut apart these larger beads. And I'm just going to thread one of those on there. Like that. And then another one of these. Hello, why are you going away? These types of videos are slow. I know somebody's going to say, you need to speed it up. No, I don't. I don't need to do anything. Let's see. Now to make the end on here, we have these little round nose pliers. Basic jewelry making supplies that you can pretty much get anywhere. And we're going to trim this right about here. Then we're going to take this, grab it, bend it over, like so. And you see how I've got it propped up against my ring finger here to hold that straight. And we're just going to grab that and twist it around. And now we have made a round end. So let's see here. Let's get another one. Another one of these. And you're going to open it up. You're going to get the glue out from underneath your fingernails. I had to turn the heater off because it's going to start making a racket here in a second. Okay, so let's see. We're going to go ahead and we're going to thread that on there, like so. And then let's attach this other end to our chain. Why are you not going on there? Is there something on that link? There we go. Sometimes the links, they're supposed to be uniform, but they're not. They get squished. All right, let's bring this down and then let's try to decide about how long we want this to hang. And I think right about there will be fine. So I'm going to open up this link here so that I can see the length that I want. And then I'm going to go ahead and make another one of these with this chain so I can keep them the same length. Okay, so I had counted the links and there were 15 links. So that is the length that I made the other one. Why are you there? So now we're just going to fasten this on here the same as we've done everything else. And yeah, you know, I get asked questions a lot of times. Do you sell that? Do you sell that? I get a lot of messages on Facebook in my inbox. Do you sell that? And then you tell people the prices. And ooh, the prices are high. So with this video in particular, because I have requests already for me to sell these, I want people to see just how much work goes into one of these. It's a lot of work. It really is. And we haven't even gotten to the painting part yet. And I've got a decent amount of money tied up in the beads here because this one's for me. And there's no guarantee. Listen, there's no guarantee that I can get these beads again, you know, because stores change their inventory. So if I do sell these in the future, the colors and the beads may not be exact as this one here. Just wanted to throw that out there. All right. Let's get all these beads out of the way. So that's what we have so far. And then I'm going to make another set of drops just like this to go on these. Those chains will be just a tad bit shorter so it can kind of angle itself up. I'm going to do that and then we'll come back and I'm going to go ahead and paint it. All right. We are zoomed in again and I have all of my drops put on here. This is going to look so pretty when I hang it up. But anyway, now comes the time to paint. This is how you're going to bring out all of these details so that you can see what's on your project. And for that, I use just plain old white acrylic paint. So over here, I have a cup of water. I have some Q-tips. When we get ready to clean off the paint, we're going to use the Q-tips and just a tad bit of water. I also have some paper towels. So anyway, let's get these out of the way. I was just so excited to get these beads on here. Usually I do the painting first, but I was just so excited about these beads, man. So anyway, I have a paintbrush here and I'm going to work in sections. I'm not going to do the whole thing at one time. And you're just going to paint on where your lines are. This paint is going to go down in the lines, and that's what's going to give us our definition of our design. So I like to use the bristles of the brush and just kind of pack it down in there. And then you're going to let this paint dry just for a few minutes, okay? You don't want to start wiping it away when it's this wet because then you're going to smear it and you run a greater risk of pulling the paint out of the details. So I like to give it a few minutes and then we start cleaning it up. And I put sometimes 2, sometimes 3 coats of the paint just to make sure that I get all of the details in there, you know, because you're probably going to pull some of the paint out when you start wiping it off. I mean, that's inevitable. I don't think I've ever done this without doing that. I mean, if you can, good for you. But, all right, that looks good. So yeah, I'm just going to let that paint sit there just for a minute. You don't want it to dry completely, of course. Just for a minute, and then we're going to start wiping it away. Okay, so this has sit here for a couple minutes, and I'm very gently doing this, okay? I'm not really putting any pressure behind it. I'm just very gently doing this, wiping it away. Okay, and there's our design starting to come out. Now what you do with your Q-tips, and I kind of do this kind of sort of towards the end. I soak the Q-tip in a little bit of water and then wring it out. You don't want this like really, really wet, just damp. And then just gently, gently go over where you don't want paint and just clean it off like so. This is a time-consuming I can't talk English, Amber. What is it? Time-consuming process. There we go. Just to get it all cleaned up and looking the way exactly that I want it to. But it is so pretty in the end. All right, so I'm going to work on that. And you see how the design comes out, and we're just kind of cleaning up the bare edge. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to work my way across the entire piece and get it cleaned up so that you can see the finished thing when I come back. All right, so let's take a look at what we have here. And I'm going to say this again. I know I've already said it, but I'm going to say it again. I highly suggest that you do your painting and your top coat before you put your beads on. I was just excited to see what it was going to look like, okay? So anyway, this is with 2 coats of paint. And now what I've done is I have just mixed up the tiniest little bit of resin, and I'm going to use it as a top coat that's going to protect the paint. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. I mean, this is going to be hanging on my wall, so you know, who's going to be in here messing with it? If you're in here messing with stuff on my wall, I'm going to slap you. But anyway, I've mixed up just a little bit of resin, and we're just going to drizzle it on the top, and that's just going to level out and form a protective layer, okay? So I'm going to cover this whole piece with this resin, and then we're going to let that harden up, and it will be good to go. So anyway, I hope that you like this video. If you would, please give it a thumbs up, click subscribe, check me out on other forms of social media, the links to all of which will be in the description box down below. And I hope to see y'all next time. Bye.